Hello ladies, I lost my power and this is a continuation of the previous video. If it sounded a bit abrupt, it's because I lost my the light and the power, so I'm starting to do the ending again. And so I want to continue with the thought that the purpose of these people that I mentioned, the government, the education system, the just these social engineers that try to change things all the time, the media and Hollywood, is to keep the world in so much turmoil through their broadcasts. Mostly you'll find a lot of it is just talk. They keep it in so much turmoil and keep you so unsettled as you stay in a constant state of shock and you cannot accomplish anything, and this is just what they want. They don't want you raised. I noticed this when I was homeschooling my children, just from people. This is before I knew about the media. Just from people that didn't like it that I was homeschooling my children. They thought I was against everybody else. I was against the public school. They thought that the public school came over with the Mayflower or was found somewhere in the Old Testament or something. And they didn't realize what its history was, what its beginning was, what its purpose was. But I noticed it from people who would try to derail my plans by saying something that was so harsh or so cruel or to make me self-doubt that I had a knot in my stomach all day and I couldn't focus, I couldn't work, I couldn't take care of my beautiful family and my beautiful home. And I learned a great lesson from that too. And that idea of these social engineers, and that's those four things. It's the media, the education system, the Hollywood, and the government. And I'm talking about the government, not the ones that are elected, the ones that are not elected, or the ones that have been there for 30, 40 years. They like their globalist goal, it's all about globalism, is to keep you so unsettled that you're in a constant state of shock and a state of immobilization. And so to keep the world in such an upheaval that you don't do anything, that you just kind of live in this constant state of adrenaline-fed fear. And so when you decide, and fear makes you very vulnerable to suggestion, to false belief, and illness. And so every era since the beginning of time has had this go on. You can see it all through the Bible too. And the Bible says, the fear of man brings a snare. And you could study, that's in Proverbs. The fear of man brings a snare. So the fear of worldly things, the fear of man, the fear of this material things, the fear of disaster, the fear of everything brings a snare. When you fill your brain with fear things, with fear and fear time, you're robbing God of his time, because the mind belongs to God. The Bible says, love God with all your heart, all your mind. Just a little bit of the mind? No, all of it. And we sort of think, well, it's like many of us become Christians and we'll say, all to Jesus I surrender. But what I read, my reading material and my viewing material, that's my area. I'm going to hang on to that. And also they might say, well, all to Jesus I surrender, but my entertainment part, that's my area. I'm going to hang on to that. Or my education, that doesn't belong to God. All to Jesus I surrender, but not my education. You're supposed to love God with all your heart, with all your mind. And this is the one thing that people are grabbing a hold of, is your mind and your emotion. And so Proverbs also says it is better to trust in the Lord than to trust in princes. And this is the whole thing that I want to talk to you about in the closing. So this is probably only going to be 5 or 10 minutes. And that is that this fear that you go around with, have a look at your eyes. That's why I tell you, go to the mirror in the morning, fix your makeup and your hair, and get dressed and be innocent and be youthful. And if you've lost that innocence in your eyes, then you've had an invasion of the media into your mind, and your mind belongs to God. And I am telling you, I get a little impatient with people when they I talk to them for a while, and then they seem to be relieved, and they're back into trusting the Lord, and they're being happy. They're doing innocent things. They're enjoying their homes. They're fixing meals. They're making clothes. They're writing stories for their children. And then they start to get reindoctrinated with the media again. And let me tell you, if you send your kids back to school, that is just going to undo everything that you've done during this little vacation you've had. Keep them home, because their innocence will return, and their love for life will return. That's the one thing you will notice, is their love for life, their enjoyment, their relaxation. They're not going to live in fear anymore. They teach them to fear at an early age, just by constant drills and threats, and telling them, I remember when I was growing up in the 1950s, how they had us hiding under our desks, because there was going to be an earthquake, or there was going to be a bomb or something like that. That's child abuse. Children should be brought up to have a happy, carefree childhood, free from worry and heavy responsibility. I think everybody deserves that, not just little children. Fear is something that will eat away at your organs. It'll eat away at your health. It'll eat away at your love. The Bible says perfect love casts out all fear. And it eats away at your love for your fellow man. And I see it. I see it when somebody that I've known maybe 20 years, maybe a lifetime, they've become hardened. They give me the squinty eye. They're suspicious. They think everyone's their enemy. They think everything is that if you're happy and you're living with a trust in the Lord instead of a trust in the news media, they think that you're a conspiracy theorist. That was created a long time ago to intimidate people who dared to question what the news media said, dared to question what the government said, or the schools are teaching you, dared to. But remember Joseph in Egypt, when he reconciled with his brothers, he said, "What you did to me, you meant for evil, but God meant it for good." And so even this house arrest that everyone's under, we have shown the world and each other and the state that has put people in house arrest that they were able to turn it around into something good, especially for their families. And we don't sit around. We're putting the time to good use, and we don't sit around. I notice just by what I see going on in the commercial area, the things that they're shopping for, the things that they're doing, it's all good. They're buying things that will help them teach their children at home. They're buying things that will help them. See, if all you could find is cooking ingredients, you could teach your children how to cook. That would be very useful. That's putting the time to good use. And a lot of the men around here don't like to sit around. They don't even like to take a day off. To them, a day off is being able to ride the tractor and mow the lawn. And they don't really enjoy sitting around. They like to do something. Even my own father, he, in his later years, in his 80s, he did not lay around. I mean, he could have just lived a life of ease, but he became very interested in plants, and he became very interested in oil painting, and he painted hundreds of paintings, even to the very end. And so they don't like to sit around. And so even if we had the rest of our lives off work, we'd probably be inventing work to do, wouldn't we? And so the sewing and the cooking and the garden and the home repair, and I know that there's a lot of home repair going on, because I went to buy just a couple of handles for some drawers that were missing handles, and the little attachments and the mechanisms that put the handles on and everything, and wiped out. They weren't there. So other people are thinking the same thing. They're getting some things done that they've never had time for. So if this fear grips you, use it as a signal to pray. Every time a fear comes, use it as a signal to pray. And stop, drop, and pray. That's what we used to do. The fear can be just awful. And if it isn't off of the media, if it isn't off of the current times, then it can actually be off of maybe someone in the house that's constantly talking fear to you. But that's fear talk. And the woman is supposed to guard the home. So you have to guard the home from fear talk. And at the end of the day, if you can gather everyone together and talk about the future, talk about what they're doing right now that will help them in life, about the future. and or have a day where you can all make something. Everybody makes something, and at the end of the day, they can scurry around quietly and secretly to their rooms and make something, including the father and mother. At the end of the day, they come together in a room, and each one gets to present what they made and what use it is and what they felt when they were making it and why they like it. And so at home, you can live the life that everyone hopes to live in retirement. Remember that story? It was going around when the web first came on. It was one of those email forwards to get everyone used to using email. And it was about somebody who was trying to get someone to invest in some business. And the farmer said, I don't know, why would I want to do that? And it was going on and on about how you could do this and that, and then you could retire and live on a nice farm. And that was what he was already doing. So if you're home, you are doing something that a lot of people are going to work their lifetime for to be able to do, to be able to stay home, to be able to garden, to be able to do the things they actually like doing. So at home, you can live the life that everyone hopes to live in retirement. Now, I don't have anything else to say, and I said this will only be 5 or 10 minutes, but I didn't want to end so abruptly. And so I want to say, ladies, that if you want to have a good night and you want to sleep well and wake up happy, then try to do something before you go to bed that you would have to wake up and face. Try to do some little thing. Clean up something. Think of the first thing you're going to see when you get out of bed. Is it your end table? Is it the path to the bathroom? Clean everything up so that you have a happy mind when you wake up. Don't tune in to the media first thing. Watch about those fair weather friends that want to text you and get you drawn into, there will be people that will say, I just don't want to, I'm so tired of hearing about this news media. I'm just so tired of hearing about the newest thing, and I'm just tired of it. And oh, good, I met somebody that doesn't want to talk about this, and then they'll start talking about it and drawing you in. And then your chest begins to constrict, and then the fear comes back, and so you don't want to do that because it's bad for it's not good nutrition for your soul. It isn't good for your mind. And remember that it takes up space. Fear takes up space in your head, and you need to have your faculties available so that you can cheer up the troops. Can you imagine being a general in an army and that was afraid all the time, and yet you have people depending on you? You have people that don't want you to have a meltdown because they want to know how they're going to act when they're older. And so make your list tonight of what you'd like to do tomorrow. Have 2 things: what you have to do, what is absolutely urgent, and what you would like to do. Is there something you would like to do? Some project that you had been wanting to get at for a long time? Or just some activity that you would absolutely like to do? Write down those 2 things. And so I would like to also say that one way that you can prevent yourself from being a target of these hole-in-the-bucket personality types, I might add some more personality types to that one. If you've got any more personality types, you can add them in your comments. And so to prevent yourself from letting them tear you down, you're going to have to don't be a sucker anymore, and no more Mr. Nice Guy, as Mr. S always says. Well, just you'll have to say no more Mr. Nice Guy. Don't entertain these people and baby them so much. Get a prim, schoolteacherish look on your face and say, well, we don't talk about things like that anymore. If you've got something brilliant to say that might help, that. And of course, we have to be gentle with people because sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. And if you're in a precarious position with them, let's say you're a preacher's wife and your husband's the preacher, you really can't spout off at them on any old thing. You have to tolerate a little bit more. And I learned that over the years. So you have to kind of let them down gently. And the best thing you can do is smile and laugh, because that darkness and light cannot exist together. And if you're smiling and laughing and you're happy and you're content, these people don't like it. The light hurts their eyes. And so Ladies, I hope to see you again more often, and I appreciate you coming. I hope you got a lot done. I hope this really helped, and I will try to read to you something encouraging next time. So until then, God bless, and make sure to say your prayers. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.